Hi, I'm Philip Smith, financial planner with Tidepool Wealth Strategies, helping self-employed professionals and solopreneurs just like you cultivate resilience in your plans to retire well. This is the Financial Planning Podcast about money management, best practices for long-term growth, wealth building truths and fallacies, successful retirement strategies, and more, where I'll be sharing concise, actionable retirement planning guidance. Welcome to the Financial Flow. Welcome to episode 3 of the Financial Flow. I'm Philip, and today we're wading into the tide pool of knowledge to tackle a common question for those transitioning from traditional employment to self-employment. And that question that I commonly hear is, what should I do with my old 401k? Leaving a job to become self-employed is a big step, and managing your retirement savings is crucial. Whether you have a 401, 403b, or a 457 plan, you generally have 4 options available. Today, we're going to break them down. Option 1 is you can leave the money with your former employer. This option involves keeping your retirement savings in your former employer's plan. If you have more than $7,000 in the plan, it cannot be automatically moved out of the plan. Distribution, rollover, or transfer requires your consent. Now, there are benefits and drawbacks to everything. Here's some of the benefits of leaving the money with your former employer. First, your money can continue to grow tax deferred. And second, depending on plan size, you might have access to institutional investment options with lower fees. And depending on how the plan is set up, you may even have access to guidance from a financial advisor. The drawbacks are numerous, though. You have limited control over your investment choices. Again, depending on plan size and other factors, you might be subject to higher fees compared to an IRA or a new employer's plan. And you need to keep track of the old plan account or accounts. I've met with clients who eventually found themselves trying to consolidate multiple accounts into a new employer's plan or an IRA. So far, 5 is the most that I've personally experienced with a client. So option 1, you can always leave it in the previous employer's plan. Option 2, you can roll it over to a new employer's plan. If you're now self-employed, or even if you go to work for another company, you can roll your 401k into your new employer's plan after you are eligible and enrolled, and if the plan accepts rollover money. Of course, if you're self-employed and don't yet have a retirement plan, you'll want to tune in for episode 4, which will cover the retirement plan options available to you. Now, here are the benefits and drawbacks of a plan-to-plan rollover. First, pros, you can consolidate your retirement accounts for easier management. There is the potential for lower fees and better investment options, and you have the potential to upgrade your access to an advisor. Now, the cons sound eerily similar, yet opposite. The new plan might have limited investment options, rollovers can be a bit complex and time-consuming, and that new plan may have higher fees, fewer investment options, or more proprietary options. And compared to the previous plan, you might experience a reduction in access to an advisor or financial wellness tools. So just things to make sure that you are aware of before committing moving money from an old employer to a new employer's plan. Option 3, you can roll it over to an IRA. Rolling your 401k, 403b, or 457 into an individual retirement account or IRA is a popular choice and aligns with a longer-term financial planning strategy. The IRA is intended to be that retirement account that you source for retirement income in the future. There is some nuance to this that won't be covered today, things like whether there is Roth money in the account or employer stock options or outstanding loans, or if you serve in a ministerial role. These variables are more complicated and need to be thought through before implementing a rollover. Now, the benefits of a rollover to an IRA are you have greater control over your investment choices. You have potentially lower fees and a broader range of investment options. You have the potential for continued contributions and continued tax-deferred growth. There are, of course, potential income limits to be aware of with this, though. You also get to choose whether to work with an advisor and what that advisor relationship looks like. Is it just somebody you can bounce ideas off of? Are they serving in a fiduciary capacity? Are they giving you financial planning in addition to portfolio management? A lot of things to think through there. And then there are some drawbacks here as well. So if you are considering rolling over to an IRA, you want to make sure that you are aware of these. If you choose to manage your IRA yourself, it may be more time consuming than anticipated and might be outside your area of expertise. Some IRAs may have higher fees depending on the custodian or IRA provider. And some of those other variables I mentioned, like an outstanding loan or holding employer stock, can have adverse effects if not attended to prior to doing the rollover. Remember, before you decide whether to keep your money in a 401k or roll over to an IRA, you should always give some consideration to a variety of things like investment options, fees and expenses, services, withdrawal penalties for sure, protection from creditors and legal judgments, required minimum distributions, and possession of employer stock. You can check out the investor alert section of the FINRA website for more info on all of that. Moving on to option 4, which is generally the worst, so I always save it for the last. Cash it all out. Cashing out your 401k is usually the least favorable option. Now, here is the singular benefit. You have immediate access to your money, or at least what's left over after Uncle Sam and Sister State get their cut. Now, here are the drawbacks. You may incur a significant tax penalty if you're under 59 and a half. It's 10% for an early withdrawal, in addition to normal income taxes. Also, you'll owe income tax on the entire amount distributed. Every distributed dollar is added to your annual income in the year it was cashed out. Regardless of your actual tax rate, there's a mandatory federal tax withholding of 20%. The distribution of your retirement account reduces your retirement savings significantly. Like, you're basically starting over if this was your only retirement plan account. But the potential future dollars resulting from the effect of compounding growth, that's the real drawback. So, to recap, you have 4 options for your old 401, 403b, or 457 plan account. Leave it with your former employer, roll it over to a new employer's plan, roll it over to an IRA, or cash it out. Each option has its own set of pros and cons, and the best choice for you depends on your individual situation and retirement goals. My blanket recommendation is to carefully evaluate your options. If you're unsure, consider consulting with a financial advisor who can provide personalized advice based on your unique circumstances. All right, it's time to take action. There is one big action item that I'd encourage if you are someone who has left an account with a previous employer. Review your old retirement account and consider which option might be best for you. If you have questions regarding the account, connect with a financial advisor. Taking the time to make an informed decision now can have a significant impact on your financial future. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of The Financial Flow, brought to you by Tidepool Wealth Strategies. Until next time, stay resilient and plan to retire well. It's disclosure time. This podcast is intended for educational purposes only, should not be used for any other purpose. The views depicted in this material should not be considered specific advice or recommendations for any individual, are not intended to be financial, tax, or legal advice, and do not represent Tidepool Wealth Strategies or Cetera Advisor Networks, LLC. For a comprehensive review of your personal situation, always consult with a financial, tax, or legal advisor. Neither Cetera nor any of its representatives may give legal or tax advice. Our office address is 450 Country Club Road, Suite 350, Eugene, Oregon, 97401. Securities and advisory services are offered through Cetera Advisor Networks, LLC, a broker-dealer, registered investment advisor, and member of FINRA and SIPC. Cetera is under separate ownership for any other named entity. Whew.